Welcome. Um, Today is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, and we are going to continue with the topic. Excuse me. We are going to continue with the topic of proper education from the book Fundamentals of Christian Education. And last time we looked at three maybe four subtitled of the of the chapter called Proper Education. We've looked at close confinement at school. We've looked at physical decline of the race, importance of home training, and now we are looking at, I believe, the last section of the title, which is called Physical Labor for Students. And again, this video is for people that would like to educate their children with the Christian mindset, meaning Bible-based Christian mindset, because some don't really go with the Bible, but they want to get the name Christian. And so we're going to read from Physical Labor for Students, and we're going to see, is it a good idea? Is it good for students to be involved in work while studying? And that may be, actually, we might have to do this chapter or this section in three parts as well. And I'm probably going to do it one today, tomorrow, and Thursday, because on Friday I won't be able to make one. I was supposed to make it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but yesterday I was helping a friend, and so sometimes things happen. And it says, with the present plan of education, a door of temptation is opened to the youth. Although they generally have too many hours of study, they have many hours without anything to do. And so what happens is, when you're in school and you're studying, um, you do have many hours of study. At the same time, once you've done your study, meaning like during the school time, and you don't have anything to do, now you have like a leisure time. And what do you do with that leisure time? So these these leisure hours are frequently spent in a reckless manner. Uh, that's possibly true. The knowledge of bad habits is communicated from one to another, and vice is greatly increased. Very many young men who have been religiously instructed at home and who go out to the schools comparatively innocent and virtuous become corrupt by associating with vicious companions. Uh, yes, that's possible, and it happens a lot, where I know examples of people that when they came to school and they were in a certain way, you would say very much Bible based, and by the time they graduated, they became totally different, and so that can happen. They excuse me, they lose self-respect and sacrifice noble principles. then they are prepared to pursue the downward path, for they have so abused their consciences that sin does not appear so exceedingly sinful. These evils, which exist in the schools that are conducted according to the present plan, might be remedied in a great degree if study and labor could be combined. The same evils exist in the higher schools, only in a greater degree, for many of the youth have educated themselves in vice and their consciences are seared. So you get to a point where you don't care anymore, and whenever it comes, you've rejected it so many times, and when it comes, it doesn't do any effect on you, and therefore, um, you turn to vice. In a sense, you start being, uh, in a sense, wicked. Being wicked doesn't mean you go out and kill people or do certain very nasty actions, but when you practice anything that is out of godly manner, then it's basically a wicked manner. And that happens to everyone, even to myself too. So I'm not excluding myself from that category. Many parents overrate the stability and good qualities of their children. Hmm. They do not seem to consider that they will be exposed to the deceptive influences of vicious youth. Parents have their fears as they send them some distance away to school, but flatter themselves that as they have had good examples in religious instruction, they will be true to principle in their high school life. I can tell you I was not one of that. Meaning, well, in high school, back in my country, uh, I I for sure knew if well I would claim to be Christian, but I wouldn't act like one. So you don't get the idea. But at home, I mean, I was instructed biblically even then, but I actually preferred the out outside life. And so, but when I got to college, I still acted with, but I was more reserved into not doing certain things anymore. So I think it was in college I decided to um, be like totally different. I mean, I knew the Bible. Anybody could have come and tried to think that I would not know the Bible, but I would still know the Bible. I would still ask very hard question because I knew my Bible. But then that doesn't mean that you are living according to the Bible, doing according to the Bible principle. So that was one of them. Many parents have but a faint idea to what extent licentiousness exists in these institutions of learning. In many, yes, and when I was actually in college, I was working with a friend of mine after I think I was after work, and I was gonna go to class. I think no, no, I wasn't going to. I was actually gonna go to play some piano, practice piano, and we were walking, and there were two girls behind us, and they were one of them was talking about um, how she had asked that guy last night or the night before to have sex, and he denied her, and she was very angry. And I looked at my friend and he looked at me, and I was like, I mean, you wouldn't think that women would be so licentious about it, but I was I had never heard a woman actually in school educated talking that way and boasting how she wanted to have sex with the guy and he said no and she was very angry. And I'm thinking, yes, we do have licentiousness in our schools today. So it is not a joke. It is actually the reality. In many cases, the parents have labored hard and suffered many privations for the cherished object of having their children obtain a finished education. And after all their efforts, many have the bitter experience of receiving their children from their course of studies with dissolute habits and ruined constitutions. So in a sense, if you don't have biblical, moral, sound judgment, then you'll be destitute of constitution and ruined actually. And frequently they are disrespectful to their parents, unthankful and unholy. Yes. And that's actually in the book of Second Timothy chapter 3 from verse 1 to verse 5. These abused parents who are thus rewarded with by ungrateful children lament that they send their children from them to be exposed to temptations and come back to them physical, mental, and moral wrecks. With disappointed hopes and almost broken hearts, they see their children, of whom they had high hopes, follow in a course of vice and dragged out a miserable existence where that happens. And I would also mention it's not just when they actually get to school. Sometimes it starts in the home when the parents allow them to have at a very young age cell phones, laptops. They have their own iPads, and so they can listen to anything they want. They can watch anything they want. They can just surf the internet and then click, find something good or something bad, and generally they're gonna go with the bad one and they're gonna grow with it. So even when they are in the even when they are in the church and educated from the Bible at home, they can still turn away because you are preaching them the Bible, but then their phone is pushing them evil. And since you only do the Bible maybe like probably like once a day or maybe once a week, and they have the phone almost 24/7 in their hand. So which sermon do you think they're gonna be listening more? Makes sense. But there are those of firm principles who answer the expectation of parents and teachers. They go through the course of schooling with clear consciences and come forth with good constitutions, and morals unstained by corrupting influences, but the number is few. And I'm gonna say this, I'm actually one of that example. Not to be proud about it, but I went to school and like I mentioned, I already knew the Bible and all that. But I used to want to try certain things, and I did try certain things. And but after a while, I'm like, no, I don't think that's a good thing to try anymore. I tried like maybe like 2 or 3 times to see if I would like it. I'm like, no, I don't like it. Nothing wrong. Nah, never mind. I thought it was. People make it look like it was good, but when I tried, I'm like, well, never mind. It's not even that good. So I left it, and since then I've never went back to it. Uh, so, and I think my mom, for some reason, to leave a country now. I didn't just leave home to go to college. I leave my country. So I was in a different country, and so without parental guidance, I had my siblings, but I mean, I was thinking of myself basically, and I could have definitely gone astray. But um, when the Bible says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is older, will not depart from it." I I wanted to depart from it. I wanted to try and see what, because I never tried what was in the world before, and so I was away from parents, away from my country, But when I wanted to try it, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And I kind of hesitated from actually going fully. And I said, no, I don't want to go that route because I looked at my parents and see how they are. I looked at my parents' family and see how they are. And I said, you know what? I think I know that what my parents did is the best thing to do. So I'm just gonna stick what they taught me instead of turning away. My mom always tell us that she is very happy that we have not left the church in a sense because I mean in a different country you could have turned out to be anything. But she's always very happy that we stayed uh, with the principles that we learned when we were in school or back home. And that's why I said I'm one of these example. Very few. And I know people from my church back home that I would have thought they were much better than I am, but even now, when I see them, it's I'm very surprised that they turn out to become very different than what I thought they used to be, and that tells you how much it can change. Just one event like that, and then everything can change, and it can become either good or even better, or bad or wicked. It depends on what your preference, not preference, but what your moral standards are. And but most parents, when their children leave the home, they also leave the church. Most of them, and that's actually a sad reality, but that's part of life. Some students put their whole being into their studies and concentrate their mind upon the object of obtaining an education. They work the brain, but allow the physical powers to remain inactive. The brain is overworked, and the muscles become weak because they are not exercised. When the students graduate, it is evident that they have obtained their education at the expense of life. They have studied day and night, year after year, keeping their minds continually upon the stretch, while they have failed to sufficiently exercise their muscles. They sacrifice all for a knowledge of the sciences and pass to their graves. And that's another one. Thankfully, when I was in school, uh, I, um, I had both mental work and physical work because I actually spent 5 years working in grounds. So I mean, you have to plant trees, you have to weed it, you have to mow, you have to blow, you have to trim bushes, you have to cut trees, and so I had both mental and physical exercise. And actually, I don't regret working. I mean, I had multiple jobs, but my first one was ground or landscape. And I don't actually regret it because I learned many things that I would have not known if I had not learned that. And so uh, it helps me keep myself concentrated. And when I had a tight schedule of work and a tight schedule of study, then you actually get concentrated even better. You don't have time to think about other things like going out and have fun. You just go to work and then go back home and then study. And I found myself sometimes to become lazy when I had um, a lot more free time, and I kind of didn't like it. So I would try to go and do something to kill the time, so I have a short amount of time that I can study even more. But it is good to have a physical labor because mostly in schools, most students they just go to school and study, and they don't do any activity, any physical activity, and so they have a lower tone of body, lower tone of body, um, weaker muscles, weaker bones because they don't really exercise their body that much. And then what happens is any sickness that come because your immune is not strong, then it kicks in onto you, and then next thing you know, you are very ill. Young ladies frequently give themselves up to study, to the neglect of other branches of education, even more essential for practical life than the study of books. And after having obtained their education, they are often invalid for life. Um, that actually is very true. There are a lot of women that are invalids in life, even though they have all the degrees, all the promotions, they are still invalid for life. They neglected their health by remaining too much indoors, deprived of the pure air of heaven and of the God-given sunlight. These young ladies might have come from their schools in health had they combined with their studies household labor and exercise in the open air. Household labor. Um, I don't know if you know any women that do not know how to do household labor, but in exercise in the open air, because many of them, what they do is they wanna go run. So instead of going outside to run, they buy a treadmill so they can run on the treadmill at home. So they stay indoor and exercise instead of going outdoor. And of course, I think it's very very healthy to go biking, to go walking, jogging, uh, outside, of course. And and when you go back inside, do some housework. Cooking, cleaning, washing, um, cutting your lawn. I think those are very important to do because it keeps your body active instead of idle and lazy. Health is a great treasure, and most people don't know that until they lose it. People don't know that the biggest blessings they have in life is their health. But the moment, and you see people actually they try to gain money, money, money. There's nothing wrong with getting money. But they try to go with money and they love money so much that they sacrifice their health for money. And then when they get all the money and they lose their health, now they're gonna spend that money to gain back their health. Your health is costs more than money, actually. So health is a great treasure. It is the richest possession mortals can have, like I just said. Wealth, honor, or learning is dearly purchased if it be at the loss of the vigor of health. None of these attainments can secure happiness if health is wanting. So if you're lacking health, it doesn't matter how much money you have, honor you have, and how much you know. Guess what? You're not gonna be happy because you are sick. It is a terrible sin to abuse the health that God has given us. For every abuse of health enfeebles us for life and makes us losers, even if we gain any amount of education. In many cases, parents who are wealthy do not feel the importance of giving their children an education in the practical duties of life as well as in the sciences. And yes, I'm gonna take this upon myself. When I was 10 years old, yes, when I was 10 years old, my dad taught me how to cook. Um, no, not eggs and and things like that. No, meaning rice, beans, corn, wheat, yam, plantain, potatoes, sweet potatoes, like real food, not junk food, real food. And so when I was 10, I learned to cook. And when I got to college, then I had no problem eating my own food because I know how to cook. And here, even though, so we weren't wealthy as big, but we had a decent life. And even then, my parents decided to teach us all these practical things of life because they knew if when we got older, it would be difficult if we don't have any of these learning. And that's why I'm like very happy because people say, you know what, you need to get you a wife because she can cook good food for you. And I basically tell them, I already know how to cook, you know. I would not need a wife for cooking because I already know how to cook my own food anyways. Now, I'm not against a wife cooking, but if that's the reason you tell me to get a wife, then why should I? Because I can already cook. I've cooked many things already, so I don't really need a wife for cooking because I can do that. And most women nowadays don't know how to do that, and that's a sad reality. I don't know how we're gonna reverse that, but um, I think that's something that needs to be brought out in today's age. They do not see the necessity for the good of their children's minds and morals and for their future usefulness of giving them a thorough understanding of useful labor. This is due this is due their children that should misfortune come, they could stand forth in noble independence, knowing how to use their hands. As I mentioned, because I know how to use my hands, even when things don't go as it should be, and I know what to do in most cases. And when it comes to food, I think my after my first year, I didn't want to stay in the dorm because I wanted to cook my own food instead. So that's part of it too. If they have a capital of strength, they cannot be poor, even if they have not a dollar. Many who in youth were in affluent circumstances may be robbed of all their riches and be left with parents and brothers and sisters dependent upon them for sustenance. Then how important that every youth be educated to labor, that they may be prepared for any emergency. Riches are indeed a curse when their possessors let them stand in the way of their sons and daughters obtaining a knowledge of useful labor that they may be qualified for practical life. Uh, I think that's very much self-explanatory. Those who those who are not compelled to labor frequently do not have sufficient active exercise for physical health. Young men, for want of having their minds and hands employed in active labor, acquire habits of indolence and frequently obtain what is most to be dreaded, a street education, lounging about stores, smoking, drinking, and playing cards. That is true too. I see that most men today are not. They are not in the. I would say in the thinking of working, and I wonder if it's because of what society is now doing to men. Is could that be a reason why most men now don't want to go to work? You know, and that again, and what they do is they prefer, and if they go to work, they prefer to stay single. Well, I am single anyways, but uh, they prefer to stay single because they don't. I don't want to have more responsibilities right now. Maybe in the future, but even then, I'm not gonna be lounging about stores, smoking, drinking. No, and playing cards. No. Um, I think it's good to have a good time sometime with your friends, but that shouldn't be the primary essence in life. Young ladies will read novels, huh, excusing themselves from active labor because they are in delicate health. Their feebleness is the result of their lack of exercising the muscles God has given them. They may think they are too feeble to do housework, but will work at crochet and tatting, and preserve the delicate paleness of their hands and faces, while their care-burdened mothers toil hard to while their care-burdened mothers toil hard to wash and iron their garments. These ladies are not Christians. Uh-oh. So, ladies, if you're listening, take notes. If you think you're going to, if instead of, uh, if instead of being active in labor, meaning in housework, you prefer to read novels, and other things, it says that your feeble, your feeble, your feebleness is the result of your lack of exercising the muscles that God has given you. And as Christian, we need to be exercising not just our mind, but our muscles. And listen to this. You don't want to do housework, but you prefer to do crochet and tatting because you want to preserve what? Your delicate paleness in your hands. Well, in a sense, you are not a Christian. I know it's very easy to say you're a Christian, but if you're doing things contrary to what God said to do, then there's nothing Christian about it. Saying you're a Christian doesn't make you a Christian. It's like me saying, you know what, I'm actually a 6'7", uh, 355 pound, and I play in the NFL. I could believe that, but doesn't mean it's true. So the same way, these ladies are not Christians, for they transgress the fifth commandment. And the fifth commandment says what? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy day may be long in the land that the Lord will give you. Interestingly, you are letting your mom do your own laundry and iron your own clothes when you could have done it yourself and be a woman that know how to do practical things in life. You are not honoring your parents in that sense. Like I said, when I was 10 years old, my dad taught me how to cook, right? Guess what? He also taught me how to wash my own clothes, how to iron my own clothes. No, actually, my mom taught me how to iron my clothes. My dad taught me how to cook, how to wash, and my mom taught me how to iron. So now, even if there would be no washing machine, because when I grew up, I didn't have washing machine. We used our hands, or at least I use my hands. And I use a knife to cut the soap to make it round on the clothes, and then to do that and to wash by hand, like by hand. Well, now we have washing machine, yet many children are letting the parents do their own laundry. I think that's very much breaking the fifth commandment right here for sure, because that should be easy. But even worse, I think it's the parents' fault for not teaching them housework, housework life, and practical life. I think the parents need to do a better job today. They do not honor their parents, but Oh, wow. But the mother is the one who is most to blame. You see, I even read the rest. I already said that the mother or the parents is to be blamed because they are not taught the children these things. She has indulged her daughters and excused them from bearing their share of household duties until work has become distasteful to them and they love and enjoy delicate idleness. Idleness. They eat and sleep and read novels and talk of the fashions while their lives are useless because they cannot do anything. And many women nowadays, and I think we're gonna be done. Actually, wow, yes, um, that's more than what I thought it was. And I think, and the thing is, even like many women nowadays, they are asking, they expect a man to bring a lot on the table. He has to have a great job. And if I ask you for, let's say, 5 grand today, you should give it to me at the moment. And they have all these expectation about men. But when men say, "Are you willing to cook?" Oh, no, 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 no. You're gonna cook your own food. And so, why would we as men want these kind of women in our lives? They are useless in a sense, and many of them claim to be Christian. Huh? I guess they are Christian in the mouth, but not Christian in the life. Poverty, in many cases, is a blessing, for it prevents youth and children from being ruined by inaction. The physical as well as the mental powers should be cultivated and properly developed. The first and constant care of parents should be to see that their children have firm constitutions, that they may be sound men and women. It is impossible to attain this object without physical exercise. For their own physical health and moral good, children should be taught to work even if there is no necessity so far as want is concerned. If they would have pure and virtuous characters, they must have the discipline of well regulated labor, which will bring into exercise all the muscles. The satisfaction that children will have in being useful and in denying themselves to help others will be the most healthful pleasure they ever enjoyed. Why should the wealthy rob themselves and their dear children of this great blessing? So many of the parents of today that are wealthy, I know it's a good thing to want your children to become better than you when they get older, and you do your best to give them a better life. But I think it's a bit stretching when you deprive them of practical duty of life, meaning cooking, cleaning, washing dishes, laundry, iron your clothes, know how to clean a bathtub or a toilet or anything anything that is very useful even of today. Actually, all of these are useful. I mean, if they want to have a family, is it then that they're gonna want to learn to cook? I know many people there are people that I know that um, the moment they get a fiance, then they start posting pictures. Oh, you know what? Now I have a fiance. I have to start learning to cook. And I'm like, how come you didn't know how to cook before that? I mean, if me as a man, I was 10 when I started cooking. I mean, it's sad that most parents They don't want to teach their children these things that are useful in life. And many of them actually, sadly enough, um, they spend most of their lives, even the parents, going out to eat, going to a restaurant to eat. If they're hungry, hey, honey, what are we gonna go eat today? And so they are actually wasting money because they don't want to learn to cook and do the things in life. And so and that to me, I think here physical labor for students, I think it's very essential for students now in colleges, even in high schools, so they can learn. So when they get older, they are able to do these things that are needful first for them, and if they have more responsibility, they can impart that knowledge to the next generation. And so, friends, today, Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020, we looked at the first part of physical labors for students. Uh, do you think it's a good thing for students to have physical labor in the housework, in the house, or outside? You can put your comment down below, and don't forget to like and of course to subscribe if you haven't, and click on the bell because I'll be posting videos almost 3 days a week. So sometimes it might vary because I'm also doing other things. At first it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but sometimes I have to help other people, and so it might differ during the week. And so I'm glad that you were able to be here and to watch this video. And until then, I will see you tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I hope to see you again when Jesus Christ comes the second time. Until then, bye for now.